The scene begins with Officer Kim Young-kook trying to talk down a teenaged young Lee-hyun. His classmate Yoon Se-bom holds out her hand to help him up, but instead pushes him off the roof onto the inflatable safety mat below. As the police is arresting Se-bom, Lee-hyun asks her if she wants to date. Cut to 12 years later, Lee-hyun, now a cop, arrives at the motel where a murder has taken place. They find that the culprit bit the victim. Se-bom, now a part of Special Operation Unit, gets a call from Lee-hyun, who tells her that the culprit got drugs from SOU's new recruit. When she goes to confront the recruit, he attacks her. To defend herself, she starts shooting him, but it doesn't affect him. He just keeps coming at her. She finally locks him in the room. Lieutenant Colonel Han Tae-suk informs Se-bom that the recruit has an infectious disease akin to rabies and takes her to be quarantined since she got scratched by the infected. She is tested but is found to be uninfected, suggesting she might be immune to the virus. After getting released from the quarantine, Se-bom decides to have a marriage of convenience with Lee-hyun, as that would help her get a new apartment being allotted to officers of merit. The virus has now started to spread around the world. Amidst all the crisis, our newlyweds start getting settled in their new home. While Lee-hyun starts unpacking and cleaning, Se-bom goes to pass out the rice cakes Young-kook's wife made in the new neighborhood. Se-bom's colleague Sung-young makes a deal with a reporter to expose the truth behind the infections. He tells Se-bom that he also got scratched the day the recruit attacked her. She drives him to the quarantine center to be examined. Once inside the quarantine center, Sung-young waits for an opportunity and disappears from the examination room to go and investigate. He sneaks inside one of the many refrigerator trucks being used to house the critical patients. One of the soldiers outside notices the open door and closes it, locking Sung-young inside. As Sung-young begins recording, the patients start to awaken. Se-bom is finally able to locate the truck in which Sung-young is trapped. When the soldiers start opening the container, the awakened zombies begin to attack. Se-bom tries to save Sung-young, but gets caught inside as the soldiers close the doors. Just then, Lee-hyun, who had been with Tae-suk when he was informed about the mayhem, reaches the site. He throws the soldiers back, yanks the doors open and pulls Se-bom out to safety. Back at their apartment, Se-bom investigates the noise coming from the apartment above theirs. Suspecting the owner, Joo-hyung, she forces her way inside the apartment but is tricked and locked by him inside the bathroom with his infected wife. Se-bom manages to open the door, letting the zombie rush out. Lee-hyun arrives just in time and helps Se-bom capture the zombie. The next day, Tae-suk shows up and tells Se-bom that they will quarantine the entire complex since the drug causing these infections was circulated in the complex's gym. He offers her to leave with him, but she refuses. Se-bom calls Lee-hyun to tell him about the lockdown. At that very moment, Lee-hyun walks out of the elevator. He had come to arrest Joo-hyung, suspected to have murdered his wife right before she turned into zombie. Se-bom runs over and throws her arms around him, glad that she was not alone. As the lockdown commences, Oh-yeonok, president of the Resident Association, calls for a meeting. The residents discuss the situation and request for cooperation during the week-long lockdown. Lee-hyun suspects the gym trainer to be infected and asks him to stay put in the gym office as a precautionary measure for a night. Se-bom and Lee-hyun arrange for accommodation for the cleaning staff members. Young-kook, who had come to arrest Joo-hyung, also gets stuck and lodges in Se-bom and Yo-hyun's apartment along with a little girl, Seo-yoon, who lives in the neighboring apartment, but her parents got infected and were quarantined just before the lockdown. Things start going downhill the very next day as turned residents start attacking people. Se-bom and Lee-hyun go to check on the gym trainer, but he has disappeared. They find him in the basement parking. They are then chased by a zombie and barely make it back to safety. They barricade the lobby doors before any zombies can get in. They lock the trainer in the gym office again. The residents gather for another meeting. Joo-hyung offers money to anyone who ventures out to assess the situation. The cleaning workers take up the offer, but Lee-hyun objects. Despite his warnings, the group ventures out, so Lee-hyun, Saebom and another resident, Dong-hyun, tag along. The group heads to the supermarket. There they rescue the store worker, Boram. Just as the group is filling on the essentials, they get attacked by the zombies and flee just in the nick of time. When they reach back to their building, Yeonok barricades the door, fearing that they might have become infected. Joo-hyung cues up an audio of his wife's zombie noises, hoping to get Lee-hyun killed. Jungkook and Seo-yoon arrive in the lobby and are able to get the door open. Lee-hyun is livid. He grabs a bloody apron and pins Joo-hyung against the wall and rubs the blood from outside on his face. Saebom pulls Lee-hyun off Joo-hyung and calms him down. Lee-hyun apologizes for overreacting as Saebom hugs him. The residents find out that the gym trainer has been infected and decide to take a vote on whether to let him stay or kick him out. After the voting ends on a tie, Sehun, resident of the building's penthouse, gives the casting vote in favor of trainer. After the voting, Sehun invites Saebom in to see his collection of military supplies and survival tools. The gym trainer, now handcuffed, gives Lee-hyun the name of buyer who took the drug from him, which happens to be Sehun. Meanwhile, Dong-hyun and Boram attempt to retrieve Dong-hyun's phone, which he dropped outside the apartment, while rushing back from the supermarket the day before, but encounter a zombie outside and end up letting him in. Lee-hyun rushes home, but Saebom isn't there. Seo-yoon tells him she went upstairs with Sehun. He heads up to his flat with a bat, fearing Saebom's safety. In the gym, Hyun-kyung and Soo-min hear a thud and creep over to check it out. Soo-min unwisely opens the stairwell door to investigate, but is attacked from behind. Hyun-kyung runs back into the gym, locking and barricading the doors. Lee-hyun barges in Sehun's apartment, only to find Saebom chilling and eating a snack. He laughs off his behavior as newlywed love and Saebom plays along as they leave. Saebom and Lee-hyun are then attacked by the gym trainer. As they are facing him off, the trainer is shot. They turn around to find Tae-suk. Tae-suk informs all residents that the entire city is entering lockdown. Tae-suk tells Saebom that they found an antibody in her blood and that they need to see if it's effective. He then lets an infected security guard attack her. He ends up shooting the zombie and tranquilizing Saebom after watching her struggle. Downstairs, Lee-hyun hears the shot and realizes Tae-suk came here for Saebom. Lee-hyun chases Tae-suk's car and is able to rescue Saebom. In the end, Saebom agrees to let them take her blood sample and return back inside. Elsewhere, we see Joo-hyung extracts the contents of drug and inserts them into unopened bottles with a syringe. Lee-hyun and Saebom find out that Hyung-kyung is hiding her brother, Soo-min, who got bitten recently, in one of the empty apartments. Once the rest of the residents find out about Soo-min, they decide to handcuff him in the gym like they did with the trainer. Joo-hyung asks everyone to drink water in order to prove they aren't infected and hands them the bottles that he had spiked with the drug. He then shows them the drugs and admits to dosing all the drinks. Lee-hyun says that he anticipated Joo-hyung's plan and switched them out with digestive pills. Meanwhile, Yeonok and her husband cajole Jungkook into taking command. Although ashamed, he points his gun at Lee-hyun and Saebom, suggesting they might be infected and should quarantine. Everyone gathers for a meeting to decide Saebom and Lee-hyun's fate. They take a test to see who's truly infected. Saebom holds up her knife and prepares to cut her hand. Lee-hyun arrives and grabs the knife, cutting his own hand instead. He walks up to everyone. And Boram turns. Saebom and Lee-hyun wrestle Boram to the ground and subdue her. Later, Saebom and Lee-hyun share a warm moment together as she treats his wound. The next day, Yeonok realizes that her husband, Woo Chang, is infected. He spots Joo-hyung in the hall and attacks him. Joo-hyung stands in front of an open window and ducks down as Woo Chang runs at him and falls out the window. All residents ask Sehun to share his supplies. He's not too keen on the idea and tells them that in the adjacent building, there's an emergency generator they can use to get power and water back. Later that night, Lee-hyun goes into the bathroom and pulls down his collar only to reveal an infected scratch he got from Woo-chang. Sebom and Lee-hyun discover that Se-hoon has disappeared, leaving behind a note, saying that he did something wrong and that they can take his supplies. Sebom thinks foul play is likely. They find the body of one of the cleaning workers in an empty apartment, with a bite mark on her neck. They hold a meeting, worried that there's another infected resident attacking people. Lee-hyun contacts Tae-suk and devises a plan for Seo-hyun and Sebom to leave. After some investigation and help from Tae-suk's team, they discover that Andrew is hiding his real identity, as the real Andrew was found dead in his house. Sebom and Lee-hyun hear a gunfire and rush downstairs to find Andrew has managed to take Jungkook's gun and stabbed him. He takes Seo-hyun hostage. When they confront him, he finally takes off his hat, goggles, and mask to reveal his true face and confesses that he killed the real Andrew, the cleaning lady and Se-hoon. He orders everyone to go to the gym. Everyone agrees to send Lee-hyun and Sebom to turn on the emergency generator. Dong-hyun offers to go with Sebom and Lee-hyun as he wants to get to his car and try to leave. They go to the garage and look for the electrical room. Sebom locates the generator and Lee-hyun flips the switch. As they are leaving, zombies come flying from all directions. Lee-hyun leads Sebom into an elevator of a connected building in case Andrew is waiting to kill them when they return. Dong-hyun heads for his car, which won't start and gets surrounded by zombies. In the elevator, Lee-hyun tells Sebom that Tae-suk will help them leave. As the elevator doors open, multiple zombies try to rush inside. Lee-hyun pushes them out, holding them back with his body. His shirt rips, revealing his infected scratch. Sebom stares in shock and notices how the zombies are trying to move past Lee-hyun without attacking him. She snaps out of it and yanks Lee-hyun inside. Lee-hyun apologizes for not telling her. As he hangs his head, Sebom takes slow steps toward him. She places one hand on his chest and with the other, caresses his face. He cautions her that when he sees her, his heart beats faster and he feels thirst. She replies, "Me too, because I like you." She pulls him close as they both cry. While Sebom picks up Seo-hyun, Lee-hyun goes to get Jungkook. Andrew finally realizes something is amiss and runs upstairs. He makes his way to the roof and catches our group. He shoots Lee-hyun in the arm as the group gets to the staircase. Lee-hyun apologizes to Sebom for not being able to accompany her and runs back through the door, locking it with the handcuffs. Andrew shoots Lee-hyun again. Sebom screams and tries to break down the door, but it's no use. She warns Andrew not to touch Lee-hyun as she leaves. Lee-hyun throws the handcuff key off the roof to keep Andrew from opening the door. When he turns around to face Andrew, he's become a zombie and attacks Andrew. Sebom loads everyone into her car and drives to the perimeter where the soldiers open the barricade. Sebom gets out and asks Tae-suk for his gun so she can bring Lee-hyun out. Instead, Tae-suk injects her with a sedative while the soldiers take the others from the car. At the quarantine center, Tae-suk returns her phone, which Lee-hyun gave to Jungkook before they left. She finds a video from Lee-hyun on her phone. She cries to see his smiling face as he says that he didn't agree to marry her just for the apartment and admits that he likes her. She escapes the quarantine center with the help of Tae-suk. When she arrives at the complex, she rushes to their apartment and finds Lee-hyun huddled on the couch under a blanket, fighting the change. She calms him down and assures she will always be with him and kisses him. Meanwhile, Tae-suk heads to the complex in order to rescue Soo-min, who also happens to have the antibodies besides Sebom. Andrew shows up with the gun, just as our protagonists are about to leave. He ends up shooting Lee-hyun. Sebom shoots herself in the arm to lure the newly turned Andrew towards her. Lee-hyun ends up shooting Andrew in the head before collapsing himself. In the epilogue, we see things have returned back to normal. Sebom and Lee-hyun are both healthy and are happily living together.